Hey everybody, welcome back to Investing with Wesley. You know, it's no surprise you see it all over the news. People just can't afford homes. The middle class is actually completely priced out of the housing market. And with housing prices being at pretty much all-time highs, today's episode, I want to talk to you about, is it going to get better or is it going to get worse? Let's get into it. Well, for starters, in order to know where we're going, we have to know exactly where we are. So I want to put up a graph on screen. This graph shows the ratio between home prices and household income. Now you can see based on trend lines, the average price for a home is 5 times the household's annual income. With it getting more affordable in the 90s to buy a home, as the ratio dropping to 4x as opposed to 5, and drastically overpriced in the Great Financial Crisis to where the housing market was 7x the household income. Now you can see that it drops back down to the trend line and then in recent history has gone completely back up. And now we've actually surpassed what it was during the Great Financial Crisis or the housing bubble, because now we're at 7.5 times the household income. So seeing this graph, you could see we're at all-time highs and there's a lot of people that are just completely priced out of the market. So if we're at all-time highs, that must mean a correction is coming. Well, although that's a great observation you have, and more often than not, you'd actually be correct, because of the economic times we're in right now, it's sad to say that it's just not that simple. You have to remember about what I said in my last video. My last video, I talked to you about we are about to enter an economic inflationary depression. And it's because of this inflationary depression why I think the ratio or unaffordability is going to keep going up. Let me explain. Now, because of these inflationary times that we're in and the consistent price increases of all goods and services with the lack of wage increases, you can actually see that those two combined have the real potential to, in a sense, price people further out of the market. The rate of inflation will exceed so much so that it will actually be greater than the rate that housing prices are going up. Let's give you an example. As an example, let's say that wages increase 5%. Whereas home prices increase 7%. Already there you see a 2% unaffordability growth in buying a home. Now tack on added increase of inflation with a second round of money printing caused by a dwindling market. With the CPI currently being at about 7%, it's very likely that the next round of inflation will carry us all the way up to 10%. So we're already tacking on more unaffordability, and then we're also tacking on more inflation. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky to understand. Because of the inflation and the Federal Reserve's promise to fight inflation by raising interest rates, you could actually see home prices falling slowly. And as time progresses and as interest rates rises, home prices will probably continue to go down. But just because the prices of a home go down doesn't mean they suddenly become more affordable to you. Again, if wages don't keep up with inflation and the price of services and goods everywhere around you keep going up, then even though the home over here has gotten cheaper, you still can't afford it because you still have to pay for the goods and services that it costs to keep that home running. Although you may actually see home prices go down, I believe that you'll see the unaffordability ratio continue to go up. A good way to visualize this is by using vehicles and airfare. Vehicles specifically because it's most prevalent there. The exact same thing I'm talking to you about today with home prices and affordability has been happening for years with the auto industry. Vehicles just keep getting more expensive and people are slowly being priced out. So instead of being completely priced out, lenders got wise and decided to just increase the term. Nowadays, you can find loans that are 84-month long, whereas it was ludicrous for someone to even mention it back in the 80s when the 72-month term first got introduced in the luxury vehicle market. Now back then, the goal was to sell more luxury vehicles to the middle class and just make it more affordable monthly payment-wise by increasing the term. But people thought it was insane then. But now, the 72-month term is pretty much how everyone buys their cars now that aren't luxury. So as you can see, over the decades, car prices have just continued to go up and people are slowly being priced out. So instead of doing something about it to make cars more affordable, they're just increasing the length of time you have to pay it. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, increasing the length of time means my payment per month gets lower and that means it's easier for me to afford. Now, talking from a cash flow perspective, you're absolutely right. But the longer you have to pay means the more interest you have to pay as well. And not only that, but if you buy a new vehicle, it doesn't appreciate like a home would. This is what I mean by people are going to be more and more outpriced by the market, especially as we enter an inflationary depression, where we will have all the money in the world and just not enough goods to do anything with. So the real question is, what can you do about it? What can you do to better prepare yourself for these inflationary times that we're in? Well, the very first thing you need to do is get creative and get smart with your finances and realize where the value is in everything that you're purchasing. Once you realize where the value is in everything you're purchasing, then it becomes that much easier to save money on your liabilities and increase spending on the assets like the stock market. As an example, the real value in having a car is the freedom to go where you want to go. Now, as long as you have a reliable car, it doesn't need to be new and luxurious. It could be a used car. Either way, it gives you the freedom to go wherever you want. And if you get the used car, you've already shaved off all the depreciation that someone who bought the new car would be suffering. The value is in the freedom, not in the actual good. Whereas in the stock market, the value is in the business that you actually own a portion of, which is why value companies that pay a decent dividend are my favorite to invest in. Growth stocks are good too, but the value to me is being a part owner in this business, and I want a profitable business that is going to give me a portion of its profit as well. Learn where the value is in everything that you put money on, and that will help you make better investment decisions, better spending decisions, and ultimately help you profit in the long run, even in this inflationary time that we're in. Hope you got value in this video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, as it really helps this channel grow and get out there. I have a dedicated Facebook and Instagram account, so feel free to follow me there. Either way, the choice is yours, and I'll see you in the next episode.